This is another Lula, Belle, and Scotty Collector Series, Row Recordings, presented to you by KJOW 42 Almost Live channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button for all notifications.
That I mentioned before our break, that it's called Remember Me, and that was a notation on a cup that sat in his mother's bedroom, on a bureau drawer, on a dresser. And Scott would get homesick, he and Little Belle, and they were on the road so many years out there. And he one day remembered this cup that just came to him, that was in his home, his mother's home. And it said, Remember Me. So he made up the words to the song and the music to the song of Remember Me. Let's give it a listen, okay?
Wonder, off the top of your head, how many people have re-released that song?
Well, I would say 30, 40, maybe more. Willie Nelson does it occasionally now. Scott wrote many songs, and the one that we have coming up, I wanted to make mention and several mentions about it. It's a song called Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? And Scott wrote this during World War II, about 1945, I assume. And they didn't record it right then. But I want to tell why he wrote it. As Little Belle has told me, he was in the hospital in Chicago, and Little Belle had taken his guitar up to him because he liked to, he wasn't really sick. He was in there for tests. And one day she went up to visit him, and they were talking, and she started to leave, and she turned and said, Have I told you lately that I love you? And the next day she went back, and Scott had written a song, Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? And somehow he had a friend, a so-called friend, who had a publishing business. And this friend wanted to publish this for Scott. But instead of publishing, he took this song and he sold it to Gene Autry.
With friends like that, who needs enemies?
Enemies, that's what I said. Anyway, he sold this to Gene Autry, and Gene Autry was out in California. And Scott heard about it, so he called Gene and wrote Gene and told him that that was his song. So Gene, to show you what kind of guy Gene Autry is, he's my hero anyway. He flew back to Chicago and returned the song to Scott Wiseman, who then got it copyrighted. And there are no telling how many people have recorded. The first one to record it was Gene Autry. He recorded it before he knew it was Scott's.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no telling how many people recorded that song. Lula, Belle, and Scotty did not sing that on the National Barn Dance for years because at that time they were with Alka-Seltzer on NBC Network.
Mm-hmm.
And Alka-Seltzer would not let them sing serious songs or love songs. They had to sing goofy songs. And they would not let Lula, Belle, and Scotty sing a serious song. They had to sing like Down by the Railroad Track.
Something uplifting.
Oh, does its spirit didn't lose its flavor on the bedpost overnight, and some of those. They didn't get to sing this on the Barn Dance, Have I Told You Lately, until years later, when after Alka-Seltzer. And let's have a listen here.
Beautiful song, isn't it?
It sure is. It really is, Diane. You know, we have one coming up here. It's quite different.